Okay, just a quick word of caution. These are all YouTube videos. So I've just taken them from YouTube. Two things I want you to, अगर आप फिर से just अगर आप कभी भी देखना चाहें, you can always go and see Hina Sidhu do a YouTube. But she said two things. One, Rathore showed us the way, and Bindra confirmed it. And now she's following those footsteps. यानी कि जब Rathore won Olympic medal, the infrastructure in our country was not that well developed. उसने इंडिविजुअल अपना पूरा जोर लगा दिया, पैशन दिखा दिया, अपना इंडिविजुअल ग्रेट डिटर्मिनेशन दिखा के एक मेडल ले आया. And then came Bindra. And then is coming Hina Sidhu, is this young girl from a remote part, I mean, coming from Patiala. It's not remote, sorry, it's not remote. The reason she could do that is because she got the infrastructure. And I will show you some more examples of how seriously big the inflection point of infrastructure can be. This is Kashyap. See, in badminton, virtually everyone knows Saina Nehwal, and now people have started to know PV Sindhu. No one knows, or at least no one knew Kashyap till some time ago. Kashyap, ladies and gentlemen, even before he won Commonwealth this year, even before he won Commonwealth, he was already amongst the top 10 in the world. And top 10 in badminton, I think, is the most challenging thing to do. Because आपको मैं एक example देता हूँ. Do you know of any top 10 player in tennis in India? नहीं, वही है, Federer and Nadal and Wawrinka. There is no top 10 player in tennis. So you can see the competition that there is in tennis, and now you just see the competition in badminton. In badminton, the top 5 players are from China, and the next 2 are from Malaysia. And here is this Indian who's broken into the top 10. And what I will do now is to show you a very quick 3-minute video of where he learned his badminton from. Look at the infrastructure that has got created there.
Indian badminton has been the scene of quite a few highs in the last couple of years, where we have seen a whole host of names come into prominence. The latest is PV Sindhu, the lanky 18-year-old teenager from Hyderabad. But of course, she is just the latest in line of fine badminton talents to emerge from the conveyor belt of the Gopichand Badminton Academy. Over the last few years, we have seen the likes of Saina Nehwal, Parupalli Kashyap and Sindhu burst onto the international scene and consistently compete at the major tournaments. Much of India's recent successes can be attributed to the man who started it all, Pullela Gopichand. He was India's biggest badminton star to emerge, male or female, after Prakash Padukone. When Gopichand won the prestigious All England Championship in 2001, most of India's current crop of youngsters were school-going kids. But what he helped spawn is something truly remarkable. He was only 27 when he won the All England title. Yet, he knew that he didn't have many years left as he was struggling with injuries. All he wanted was for the next generation of Indian badminton players to have better coaching and world-class training facilities, so that one day India too could have multiple players competing for honours at the highest level. And that's how Gopichand became Coach Gopichand. He got to work with building the academy after he received 5 acres of land in the Gachibowli area for this project from the government of Andhra Pradesh. He approached Yonex for sponsorship and also tried his best to get foreign coaches into the mold. Nimmagadda Prasad, a relative of his, contributed about $500,000 initially and assisted in raising the rest of the money. A total of $2 million was the expected amount needed, but only $1.75 million could be raised. Gopichan then decided to mortgage his family home to try and make up the remainder of the amount. Eventually, the academy was completed in 2008 at a cost of $2.5 million. It started with 60 trainees in 2008, and since then it has seen a five-fold increase in its intake to more than 250 now, with another 200 odd on the waiting list. It is one of Badminton Asia Confederation's very few Asia training centers. The others are in China, Malaysia and Indonesia. And the results are there to see. First we saw Saina Nehwal emerge as a talented youngster. She was by herself for much of the last 5 years before the emergence of the likes of Kashyap, Sindhu, Ashwini Ponnappa, Sai Praneeth, Guru Sai Dutt and K. Srikanth. We will get to see a lot of him in the Indian Badminton League, and who knows, soon we could have 2 top 10 men's players as well in addition to the women. Gopichan was presented the Arjuna Award in 1999, the Rajiv Gandhi KL Ratna in 2001 and the Padma Shri in 2005. As a coach, he was presented with the prestigious Dronacharya Award in 2009 for his efforts in building up the scale and quality of Indian badminton. He is called coach by some and guru by some others, but as far as Indian badminton is concerned, he is the Dronacharya that has helped the country produce numerous shuttlers of huge potential and promise that now look set to compete on the world stage for some time to come.
So here is Pulila Gopichan, ladies and gentlemen, who's, by the way, I've had the good fortune of going to the academy. I met him. It was just a fascinating experience. And you can see from the video, if you just, whenever you get the chance again, see the video again, it's just fascinating infrastructure. It's world-class infrastructure. And that's what they say. In Asia, it's amongst the best facilities that has ever come up. So you have China has that facility, Malaysia has that facility, and now India has that facility. So what we have done is that it's become a conveyor belt of producing brilliant players. So what will happen, look at it 6 years from now. 6 years from now, India will have probably 3 players in the top 10, men's and women. Just an idea. I'm just leaving that thought with you. And this is something that I'd urge all of you to have a look at. This is called Olympic Gold Quest, OGQ. Olympic Gold Quest was started by Geet Sethi, Viren Raskina. Geet Sethi, obviously, everyone would know, brilliant billiards player, world #1. Viren Raskina is a hockey player. These guys came together in 2008. I think they came together in 2008. They got corporate funding. And they all came with one purpose. कि बस अगर अपने देश का नाम रोशन करना है, तो Olympic में medals ज़रूरी है. And I will tell you why I'm saying this. Just think of it. The best, most successful countries in the world also get the maximum gold medals at Olympics. US and now China, France, Germany, United Kingdom, and not necessarily in that pecking order. What I'm saying is that the powerful nations also win Olympic medals. So OGQ came together to provide the infrastructure to produce world champions for 2020 Olympics. And one of their visions and missions is in 2020, they want 20 medals for India. So whenever you have the time, do go and see OGQ. पर मैं आपको ये सब क्यों बोल रहा हूँ? What has that got to do with us? इससे आपका मेरा कोई कनेक्शन नहीं है और शायद होना भी नहीं चाहिए. But इसमें है connection. And I want to show you the connection. Indian sports. I'm not sure अगर पीछे तक देखेगा, but आप जरा गौर कीजिए इस बात को. On Indian sports, this is what is happening. Individual sports is actually doing very well. Team sports में there's a bit of struggle. So we've not revived in hockey. जो अपना एक जो हमारी standing होती थी, we've not been able to revive that. Cricket's been a bit of a struggle of late. But individual sports, India is doing brilliantly well. Archery, boxing, wrestling, shooting, and now you will see, even golf for that matter. The other thing you will see is that there's talent coming from different parts of the world, of the country. Infrastructure started to improve. And the fourth thing is that because of all of these things, we are creating world beaters. So that's sports. Indian IFAs. all of the IFA fraternity is actually like an individual sport. We're not a team sport. Most of us in this room run our individual practice. Okay? We come from absolutely from all parts of the country. And this improvement in infrastructure for us, IFAs, can give us the scale and the consistency that Vinod was talking about. And the fourth thing is that if all of this comes together, the IFA fraternity can become world beaters. And that's where I see similarity between what's happening in Indian sports and our business. And what I will do over the next 3 to 4 minutes is very quickly share with you why are we harping around infrastructure. So what is the relevance of infrastructure for our industry? Why am I talking about this again and again? It's very quickly. Investor की दुनिया बहुत tough है. Because आप सुबह से सुन रहे होंगे, and I think eventually most panelists, most people who have come and spoken out here are saying that investors' life is getting tough. क्यों बेच रहा है, क्यों खरीद रहा है fund, कब तक रखना है, etc., etc., etc. The results are total confusion. And most of the times, Alok, most of the times, what you see is that the investor's experience with mutual funds is not the best because he doesn't know उसने खरीदा ही क्यों, उसको पता ही नहीं खरीदा क्यों, मैंने mutual fund क्यों खरीदा, what does it do for me, no idea, hence redemption, question, etc., etc. And what that does is unhappy investors की तादाद कुछ ज़्यादा ही बड़ी है और happy investors की तादाद कम है. और उसका एक पहलू में आपसे I will share with you another thing. But that's just investor. What about us? ये आपकी problems भी हैं. I mean, it can be much bigger list, but 4-5 point आपके भी हैं. Experience आपको, investor का experience you want it to be good, you want to increase your revenue, and eventually why should you not handle 2,000 customers? Why not? 2,000 तो मैंने ऐसे लिख दिया, why not 10,000? So investor का dilemma और आपका जो constraints हैं, all of this is pointing to one thing, that in the investor's world, it's all about goals. It's all about goals and it's all about dreams. And in our world, it's all about tech infrastructure. And we have come to the conclusion that it requires a shift. Hence, this is what we are talking about. I think that if you notice one thing, one of the things I think, one of the things at least we have come to the conclusion about, it's not about products. Product is actually quite irrelevant. Product तो दुनिया में investor के एकदम last में आना चाहिए. With the starting point has to be all about his goals. And if you see, if it starts from his goals, all of the rest follows through. And hence and that's where the equation turns around. But to do all of that, you require infrastructure. And that is what we get via Shubchintak. I don't want to get into too much details around Shubchintak. It's a program that we've been coming to you now for some time. It's now up and running for 6 months. Like I said, मैं detail में नहीं जा रहा हूँ Shubchintak. But what I will do in the last couple of minutes is just to let you know, it's now completely digital. It's a full-fledged solution. And more importantly, Alok, if you just go, it's completely open architecture. यानी कि आपको जो fund बेचना है आप बेचिए. It's your advice, your solution. It has nothing to do with us. It's infrastructure that has got created for the IFA community so that you can talk about goals and dreams of your customers. And I think our intent out here is, if you use the right infrastructure, if the use of technology is perfect, then scale is not the constraint out here. And I think that's the core message I just want to leave with all of you, is that at the end of it, the constraint should not be infrastructure, which is what we're trying to plug via Shubchintak. Anyone who wants to have a look at it, just go to shubchintak.me, me matlab me, as in .me, have a look at it, Everything is available on the website. Whoever wants to sign up, please feel free. And like I said, it's completely open architecture. It's your choice, your advice, your solutions. It's a complete solution. Have a look at it. I think it will make a lot of difference to the way you and I can approach investors. I'm going to end here. And before I end, I just want to very quickly play a 2 or 3 minute video of an investor and his advisor. Look at the conversation between the two. But before I end, before you play the video, I just want to make another point here. Whether it is BlackRock's Jombe effort, or it is Shubchintak, or it is any other AMC trying to create the right infrastructure for the IFA community, I think the intent for all of us is to make this very scalable, very consistent. And so the intent for all AMCs is now starting to be create good infrastructure. And that's what I would leave this at. Ladies and gentlemen, have a look at the video between an investor who's sharing his experiences and his advisor. Thanks. Thanks a lot.
I was actually very much poor in managing money. Whenever it comes, जब भी आता था वो वैसे ही चला जाता था. Whenever you are earning money, money will be coming to you. But ideally, at that point of time, you have to be like a V shape. V shape in the sense you have to absorb the money, because absorbing or saving is the money is what it is like as difficult as earning the money. I have understood saving in short things like small amount, and that too also for a big period will be playing a pivotal role in that. So I started doing that. Usually 60-70% people, they go what their chacha says, what their taya say, what their auntie says. Usually 70% of people. Only 20-30% of people they are going professionally. I think these are the only people actually who are going professionally are making money. One of my close friend, he is managing for lot of people. So fortunately, he is my neighbor also. He is Manish. So I went to him. I discussed about my needs. This much corpus I will be requiring in this much days, and this is the right now is in my hand. So just suggest me कि how to go about it.
कपिल जी बड़े जॉली किस्म के आदमी हैं, लाइफ एंजॉय करना जानते हैं. हम दोनों जिमिंग साथ करते थे, तो वहाँ बात करते करते मैं उनका कोई पॉइंट पकड़ लेता था लॉन्ग टर्म का, जो मुझे लगता था कि इससे मैं लिंक करके इनको समझा पाऊंगा. तो जैसे बच्चों की बात निकली, ठीक है, अब मेरा अपना एक तरीका काम करने का है. मैंने उनके बच्चों की कोई बात निकली तो मैंने उनको समझाना स्टार्ट नहीं कर दिया. मैंने उस पॉइंट को पकड़ के ना धीरे धीरे करके अपने एग्जांपल्स देने शुरू कर दिए.
फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल ही एडवाइज्ड मी फॉर small things. I mean, to small savings, but that too regular one. So I adhere that, and right from my daughter is in 11th. So when she was in 4th standard, he told me, like Manish told me, put something or her name that will be good for her.
तो गोल्स उनके बच्चों के हाई स्टडीज़ का गोल सेट हुआ पहले, फिर बच्चों के मैरिजेस का, फिर बीच में मुझे पता लगा कि वैसे तो ही ओन सम प्रॉपर्टीज़, लेकिन वो अपने रहने के लिए एक बड़ा घर देख रहे थे. तो मुझे कहीं से हिंट एकदम से लग गया कि उन्होंने स्पेसिफिकली मुझे बताया नहीं. तो फिर हमने हायर एजुकेशन के साथ साथ एक गोल वो भी बना लिया कि हमें एक बड़ा मकान लेना है रहने के लिए, तो उसके लिए हमें क्या करना होगा. तो बस फिर धीरे धीरे उसके लिए प्लान करने लगे.
Being a fund manager, you can say they foresee something. बोला कि टुडे अगर आज आपका 50,000 का कॉस्ट है, वो 15-20 साल बाद 10 लाख का हो जाएगा. तो लिटरली मैं अंदर से हंस रहा था. मैंने कहा ये क्या बात कर रहा है यार, 50,000 का 10 लाख का कॉस्ट हो जाएगा, तो इसका मतलब तो हमारा जो सैलरी जो आज की डेट में 20-25 हज़ार रुपये, ये भी 2-2.5 लाख रुपये हो जाएगा. ये क्या बात करते हैं. बट आज 15 साल बाद ये सब चीज़ें ध्यान आता है कि ये चीज़ें इन्होंने पहले ही से फोर्सी कर ली थी कि आज मेडिकल कवर का इंश्योरेंस इतना होना चाहिए, आज जो सैलरीज हैं वो इतनी हो जाएंगी, और वो हो रही हैं इफ़ यू सी. तो दिस इज़ लिटरली ये एक बहुत बड़ा एडिड पॉइंट था इनसे जुड़ने का और मिलने का भी.
Thanks, Karan. All this was very interesting. Can I now request Mr. Amit Trivedi to hand over a token of thanks to Karan? In this era of information explosion, we are all littered by clutter. How does one make space? How does one stand out and ensure that one is relevant and leaving a mark? So our next speaker is going to talk about what's a brand in the world of internet. Not that he needs any introduction, but I'm honored to welcome Mr. Kiran Khalap, who is with us today. He's a brand consultant, author and founder of Chlorophyll Brand and Communications Consultancy. He's an advisor at UADI project. He started his career as a school teacher in Mr. Prime Minister's newest constituency, which happens to be a place really close to my heart, Varanasi. His career that he did in 1983. His career in advertising as a trainee copywriter in Lintas began. He won the first Ashok Jain Award for Public Service Advertising. He became the youngest creative director in Lintas, then joined Clarion Advertising, became its national creative director, and ended up in 1997 as its first ever CEO and chief creative officer. During his tenure in advertising, he worked in Sydney, Bangkok, Singapore, Hong Kong, and London. He also worked on a major advertising industries body, Advertising Club Mumbai, Advertising Agencies Association of India, and the Advertising Standards Council of India. So over to you, sir. He founded Chlorophyll in 1999, India's first end-to-end brand consultancy. So can we put our hands together for Mr. Kiran Khalap?
I would just like to add here the importance of what Karan was speaking, that Shubhchintak is an open architecture platform, which basically means that you don't have to carry a XYZ brand, you are actually your own brand, and that's where Kiran Khalap comes in. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Is this on? Is it on? Yeah. Can you hear me in the back? I tend to speak softly. Okay. I'm neither as nattily dressed as the speaker before me, nor as rich as Mr. Jain, who handles many thousand crores worth of business. So why would you listen to me? That's what we're going to talk about. Maybe this is one reason why you should listen to me. Used to have black hair, then gray hair, now no hair. So basically a lot of time spent in this business. I'm not an academician. I barely got through BSc chemistry, that also by cheating. But I'm an actual practitioner. I've worked on hundreds of brands, and therefore maybe some learning I've had. So I've worked on close to 200 brands, and Chlorophyll is known for creating brands from scratch. Here is a list of brands that we have created and worked on or differentiated. The most satisfying job that I did, it was pro bono, it was free. As an individual brand consultant, was for UIDAI. We created a book, a brand book for UIDAI, and then that became the brief, and then that went out onto the net, and we crowdsourced. We got close to 2,500 logos. We shortlisted them, and we finally came up with this particular. It easily was the most satisfying assignment I have worked with. So these are the three things we are going to talk about. What is a brand? What is not a brand? What is a brand in the 21st century? Mostly it is confusion. How many of you use Google regularly? Yes, almost all of us use Google. He makes a lot of money because of that. But if you write definition of a brand, you will get many million results. And this is not just amongst you. Even how many of you use LinkedIn? LinkedIn? Okay. So there is a group on LinkedIn called the Brand Professionals Group. It has 2,500 people from around the world. I am a member. Since 2011, it is now 2014, we have been trying to answer the question, what is a brand? And we haven't come to any answer. You can imagine the kind of confusion that is there amongst brand professionals. It's like going to a doctor and the doctor says, आपका वो गले से इधर जो ट्यूब जाता है ना वो और ऊपर चाहिए. Okay. That's where I put it. Okay. So there is confusion all over. There are many people who believe that it is good to have confusion. It allows us to charge more to clients. Now, because of the confusion amongst brand experts, now there are new experts who have emerged. So there are some people who say, I'm a brand. Unfortunately, this is not true. A human being cannot be a brand. Karl Marx is a human being. He's lying somewhere, his grave, I don't know where it is. But his idea survives. The communication is the idea that he came, and especially in parts of Kerala and Bengal, at least, this idea still survives. Mr. Gandhi was a human being, he's no longer with us, but Gandhigiri or Gandhism is the idea that survives. So it is the idea that survives, not the human being. A product, a service, an organization, a person is not a brand. So the iPhone is a product. Think differently is the idea that creates the iPhone. Yeah? Taj Mumbai provides a service. Much of it was destroyed during the 27/11. But the idea is Indian hospitality. I don't know how many of you know that there is actually a case history on the Taj as a case of Indian hospitality at Harvard. And one of the most amazing stories I heard was about this. They have a by invitation only club called Chambers. How many of you have been there? You're all senior people, so you've been there. Now, Chambers has this huge doors, and there were 40-50 people stuck there. The doors were closed. Hour after hour passed, smoke started coming in, you could hear the bombs, you could hear, and finally, it must have been an Australian probably. He said, listen, if you're going to die, why don't we die drinking? Which I think is a very good idea. And so he looked in the cupboards here and there and found a bottle of champagne and was about to open it when one Taj guy came running, said, "Hi, sir." He said, "Hey, what do you mean, no? You're going to die." He said, "Yes, but that champagne, you can't drink it in that glass. Let me get you the proper glass." So that's the level, that's the idea of Indian hospitality. That is what defines a Taj, not the building. Yeah. A brand is an idea that guides business. Whether you are an IFA, whether you're doing a unit business, I think what he said right now, the previous speaker, that you need to stand for yourself. You need to be authentic. You can't change as the world changes, and yet some part of you has to change as the world changes, and we'll come to that later. So a brand is an idea that guides business. Anybody knows this brand? Actually, everybody knows this brand, but it's just that I put it separately. Very nice, James Bond. So you are not as boring as we thought you were, finance people. Now you look at James Bond and look at this now. So do you see any difference between this chap and this chap? What's the guy in the top left? Sean Connery and Daniel Craig. Now Sean Connery used to, I don't know whether that's lucky or no, but used to go chase every woman he met. Now, Daniel Craig instead weeps for his girlfriend. He used to drink shaken not stirred martini. This fellow drinks beer. So there is a part of James Bond that has changed over time because society has changed. It's not politically correct to be sexually adventurous. Therefore, they have told Daniel Craig, boss, thoda dheere ja, just stick to one girl. And then they have said, don't drink those dry martinis, have some beer. Now, but there is some part of him that cannot change. James Bond has to be 37, not 25, because he is supposed to have been a commander in the British Army, so he has to be older. He has to have a sense of wit. You can't have a boring Bond. He has to kill somebody and have a clever line. How does it feel? Or some such thing. Drink it cold or whatever else it is. So there are parts of him that cannot change, which is the truth about brands. There are some parts of it which cannot change, in which case they will not be brands, and some parts which have to change.